Hey, we're in the middle of a
No,
conversation,
we're not.
like what you telling me this isn't a organic, natural conversation?
Well,
What?
Joseph, these last couple episodes have not been in the middle of of a conversation because not having the laptop and you kind of being able to see when I hit record really ruins the magic of
Hey
it.
man, you
But
can bring the laptop back.
I don't want to. There's no. How am I going to connect this to that laptop?
A wire.
Okay. No.
Just get an adapter. Just bada bing, bada boom.
I don't think so.
Forget about it.
Well, anyways, I know you don't follow the news very much, but something that has happened specifically in the state of Mississippi that people are absolutely up in arms about. So much so that I saw it, I want to say this is on Reddit, like this morning. So,
Front page?
yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what constitutes as the front page because...
You just go to Reddit and then it's like, boom, front page Reddit.
Yeah, but still you like scroll and you see stuff and eventually you see stuff with like 20 upvotes. And you're like, okay, I scrolled a little far, but this one had...
So that's what you do at work all day?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. Especially today. It's Friday. No one's getting any work done. But this morning, I saw a story on Reddit from WLOX, which is like the South Mississippi News. I forgot which affiliate it was for. About a corrections officer who is also, I think, like a sheriff's deputy in Ocean Springs who like killed the town chicken and like got immediately arrested for it. Everyone was in the comments being like, oh, this person is trash. They deserve to rot in jail. And it's like, I mean, listen, cruelty to animals is never okay. But this was a chicken. And chickens were bred more or less to be killed. This wasn't a wild chicken, mind you.
What
was
the context? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know how this chicken was killed. I don't know why he killed it. But you're just
I think
like,
it was a woman.
You're like, oh, wait. Okay. I don't know if you ever specified, but I guess
did not.
You just said corrections officer and sheriff or something. I assumed it was a man.
Deputy.
Oh, okay.
Females can be corrections officers and also sheriff's
Is that someone that works in a prison?
Yes.
Okay.
Or some other kind of detention facility.
Well,
they work for the Department of Corrections.
I don't know how she killed the chicken. I don't know why she killed the chicken.
Apparently,
but
it was very inhumanely.
Okay.
She didn't just like shoot it. I think
Bang,
she
bang.
like... Yeah, I don't... I can't remember.
Did she choke it?
I don't... Like I said, I don't know how she killed it.
As an innuendo.
I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know how she killed it, so... I just know that it was... She snatched it up from like downtown Ocean Springs where it resided. Oh, it had a name too. I just forgot what it was. It was a rooster.
Can we look this up?
Chicken.
This is like...
Yeah, we can look it up.
you said I saw it on Reddit. It had like 20 upvotes. And I was like, oh, man.
It did not have 20 upvotes. I did not say that.
You were like, oh, man. This is front page news. Everyone's in uproar about this chicken dying.
Let's see. Okay, well, I look up Ocean... Okay, here we go.
I also
His name was Carl.
Uh-huh.
He was a rooster. And this is from yesterday.
I also find it funny how you're like, cruelty to animals is never okay. But come on, it's a chicken.
Well, I was trying to work up to something, but... Let's see, this is... I can't find the original one from WLOX, but... Here it is. This is 2 days ago. Carl the Ocean Springs rooster reportedly dead after missing for days. So this was... this was before...
His birthday?
No, before they actually found out who did it.
His retirement. Okay,
this
sorry.
article is from before they found out who did it. And I think there must be... Here we go. Jones County Corrections Officer arrested, fired in killing of Carl the rooster. Arrested. Look, cruelty to animals is a crime, but, let's see. It says, as part of the arrest citation, Schaefer was not put into custody, but was given a date for her initial court appearance. This will be 4 p.m. on May 4th at the Ocean Springs. I'm assuming it just cuts off. Anyways. So this is Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I think this is by the coast. I'm not entirely sure, but it says Ocean Springs, so I'm going to assume here. However, there is a Bay St. Louis in Mississippi, and it's not in Missouri, so it's like, naming conventions, do they mean anything? Anyway, Carl the Rooster was a precious commodity to downtown Ocean Springs. Now, thanks to a concerted effort to find the person responsible for his kidnapping and death, a Jones County woman is being held accountable. On Thursday, Jones County Juvenile, corrections officer Kendra Schaefer was issued a misdemeanor arrest citation by Ocean Springs Police. She was also fired by the Jones County Sheriff's Department for her involvement. Now, it doesn't say... Oh, here it does. It literally says now. We expect those individuals employed by the Jones County Sheriff's Department... Okay, never mind. It doesn't say if she was like a sheriff's deputy or what she did at the sheriff's office. I don't know if she was like a sheriff, but she was a juvenile corrections officer.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know you don't have to be like a police officer to work at a prison.
No.
Okay.
Let's see. So basically, this rooster was kidnapped. This person, the Schaefer character, kidnapped this chicken at some point, and is charged with a misdemeanor and was fired immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's the motive?
I have no idea.
The article really didn't say?
Know. Well, okay, I only read the first,
the first paragraph 3 times.
The first couple of paragraphs, but I'm not even... Let's see. I mean, she probably was questioned by the police.
Uh-huh.
But I think there was also some video... It said there was video evidence in her kidnapping this chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't really say anything about a motive, because it's not like she, ate it and cooked it or whatever, but yeah, we got the videos of him, that means Carl the rooster, being taken from the front porch of I believe it was from a business, a tattoo parlor in Ocean Springs. But all this is to say, this is really sad and not great that a mascot of Ocean Springs has met such a unfortunate fate. But where is this energy when a person gets killed? Because I was looking in the comments, right, and all these people were super duper upset about this chicken in this city where they don't live, and yet something happens to a person and crickets. So I don't know. I just found that
something
to be really
happens to a person.
Yeah.
And then crickets. Yes. Do you have a person in mind?
I mean, there are a lot of people who go missing or die under mysterious circumstances when they're not really mysterious. Mm-hmm. And it's just not only do the police, well, I feel like it's mostly the police that don't do anything, but also, it's mostly community driven. But then after a certain amount of time, it just gets forgotten about. One thing that comes to mind is this one girl, and I cannot forget her name, but she was found dead after going on a Bumble date or something like that. And the guy that she went on the date with is just not, they basically let him go, even though he was the last person to see her alive, and there's just really not been a whole lot to get to the bottom of it.
What if there's not enough evidence? Maybe I don't know, maybe he did it, but it's if you gotta go by the book, sometimes you see we've both seen Seven. Sometimes people walk on technicalities. Yeah,
which is kind of lame. I mean, just in general, the whole criminal justice system needs a revamp. But I just thought, I saw that this morning, and it's this was a chicken. There are far worse things going on in correctional facilities in Mississippi. For instance, Parchman is that's the big state prison, is kind of falling apart. It's barely humane conditions there, and I mean the state does not care. They just kind of don't really want to do anything about it. And it's okay, there's human rights violations actively going on in the state. Where's this energy for that? I'm sorry your favorite chicken died, but there are people in prison living in inhumane conditions, basically. It's like Guantanamo Bay. It might as well be. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. That's just something that I saw probably at 3 a.m. this morning, because I was up far too early, and it just stuck with me throughout the whole day. So, yeah.
Interesting.
What have you been reading?
I'm trying to read it. I'm trying to get the info you're not giving me. I want to know who did it, why.
I told you something Schaefer.
Well, see, the thing is
Juvenile corrections officer in Jones County, Mississippi.
No,
also worked for the
why?
sheriff's department in some capacity. I mean, I don't know if there's been any updates on this.
All of these I'm seeing from like a day ago. Some of them are saying like, some of them are saying like a group of kids did it or something.
Well, clearly that's old information because they arrested.
Well, it's a day ago, but
yeah. What's today? Today's the 29th. So this one from the 28th is like the most recent thing that we have, it seems, from WLOX. So there's not really a whole lot of information to go off of here, but I don't know, maybe it was this kind of strange story coupled with the fact that I was reading it at 3 a.m. that really made it stand out to me. It's entirely possible, but...
Oh, you been listening to Joe Rogan?
No.
He just says that a lot.
Oh.
there's like meme. I don't know if it's a meme, but there's like videos.
I remember now. There's the them. Compilation.
Yeah. It's entirely possible. A buddy of mine, and stuff like that. When I hear those phrases, I'm like, I feel like you listen to Joe Rogan a lot.
I used to.
Not you specifically, the royal you of like if you use those phrases, that's immediately what pops into my mind.
Oh. Yeah, I was a Joe Rogan head back in the day.
Is there a nickname
for
Joe Rogan heads?
I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know. I just call, if you're like a fan of something, then you're a XYZ head.
No, but I think it would just be funny if like he had like a fan base name, like the Elks or the DMTs or something like. I don't know.
Machine Elves.
The Machine. I don't know about that one. What's that one?
Well, it's when you do like hallucinogenics or something, and they're like your guardians through the whatever. He talked about it on his podcast.
I've only listened to like, I don't know. I'll say like 10 of his or something.
Oh wow, well,
not a lot.
Fake fan.
Okay, I'm sorry. He has like 2,000. Like,
yeah, that's true. But yeah, Machine Elves has something to do with like psychedelics. It's like what you see when you take, I think specifically DMT.
Oh, 4 hours ago. Okay.
We have fresh news.
Okay.
Where is it from?
People.com.
People magazine?
Yeah.
They're talking about this chicken?
Yeah. Beloved rooster brought a lot of joy to Mississippi town. Now corrections officer is accused of killing him. So this is 4 hours ago. It seems that she's not even like, I don't know, guilty. Thanks to the
they just arrested her.
Okay, man, 4 hours ago. I mean, a lot can happen.
So technically, she's still innocent until proven guilty, but you know.
Thanks to the efforts of a group of broken-hearted citizens, a 35-year-old woman has been arrested for allegedly killing a cherished member of the Ocean Springs, Mississippi community, Carl the Rooster. Carl was a local icon. Ocean Springs resident Ron Kleber tells People he was a friendly neighborhood rooster. Anyway, all the children loved him and everybody wanted pictures with him. Carl the Rooster was a regular at Twisted Anchor Tattoo, Kleber explains, but would hang out downtown, visiting all the businesses and his friends. Added Kleber, if you've hung out in downtown Ocean Springs, odds are you know who Carl is. He brought a lot of joy to a lot of people down here. Matt Stelby, owner of Twisted Anchor Tattoo, told website. Sadly, no, he told WLOX.com. Oh. Sadly, Carl was killed over the weekend.
Man.
Video cameras across the tattoo parlor captured a group of people abducting Carl early Sunday morning after 3 a.m. In the footage, which has been viewed by People, the People magazine, a woman can be seen carrying Carl away in her hands. Security footage from another business caught the bird's body being dumped in the neighboring town of Biloxi, not even 15 minutes later.
Wow.
A fast murder. Carl's remains have not been recovered yet, according to Kleber. They just left him there.
What happened to them?
I don't know.
Oh God, he got by the seagulls.
A number of memorials have been erected downtown in the beloved bird's honor, including one outside the tattoo shop. Records confirm that on Thursday, Kendra Schaefer, it might be Schaffer,
probably Schaefer.
Okay.
I've never heard it pronounced like that.
A Jones County juvenile corrections officer was issued a misdemeanor arrest citation in the Ocean Springs Police for cruelty to an animal other than a dog or cat. She was also fired by the Jones County Sheriff's Department for her alleged involvement in Carl's County. This is kind of wild. She didn't even get a trial. She just you're fired. It's like, oh, you maybe did it. Like maybe she is innocent and proven guilty, but they don't care. You don't mess with Carl. Schaefer is due to appear in court on May 4th. Okay, so she is going to court, at which time she'll be asked to enter a plea to the charge. She could not be reached for comment Friday, and information about her lawyer, if she has one, was not available.
So that'll be next Wednesday? Yeah.
Yeah. Man, May. April's almost over.
Yep.
Kleber tells people that the Bradford O'Keefe Funeral Home has donated a customized coffin for Carl, featuring photos of the renowned rooster along with the inscription, "Legends never die."
Was it as big as a shoebox or something?
Chicken. I feel like roosters are much bigger than a shoebox. I feel like it's but 2.5.
A milk crate.
Yeah. Ocean Springs will soon host a New Orleans-style second line through the downtown area, celebrating Carl's life. It will feature music from Blackwater Brass, a local 9-piece funk and jazz band. A date for the event will be announced shortly, and that is the end of the article.
Are you familiar with these Louisiana-style funerals?
No.
Basically, they have a parade through the street. Sometimes they'll carry the coffin as well. But they call them jazz funerals, but you have, it's really just like a parade. You have a band, you have mourners just vibing to
So it's like that meme with the guys dancing with the coffin.
Well, that's not yes and no, because that's specifically African, but
I just wanted to reference that. I mostly didn't think that it was like that.
Well, it's not that far off. Except nobody's hoisting it on their shoulders. It's probably pulled by a hearse.
Lame fake fans. You didn't really love them if you don't carry it on your shoulders and dance while you're doing it.
Do you know how heavy coffins are?
I know how heavy dead bodies are.
Yeah, exactly. And pair that with large boxes made of various materials.
I was hoping that would make you do a double take.
No, because
because I'm speaking from experience.
Okay. You've been a pallbearer before?
I've been a what?
Pallbearer.
No, what? What are pallbearers?
They carry the...
Who's
forgot
Paul?
You've never been to a funeral.
Yeah, I've never been to a funeral.
They carry the casket.
No, I was trying to jokingly implicate myself in a murder.
It just wasn't that funny.
It was funny to me.
Okay.
Okay. What is it? There's another funny thing I had to say. Oh, have you seen Parks and Rec?
Yes, I have.
I feel like this feels like a made-up article. This feels like we're peeking into Pawnee and Lil Sebastian has been murdered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This doesn't feel that real. I find it I find it funny that she hasn't even been proven guilty and she's already fired.
Well, I guess that might be wrongful termination if it turns out she didn't end up doing it. So she might have
less
a case
funny.
there.
But I don't know. What is it?
That's a good question. Can you be fired if you're suspected of a crime?
Maybe she can be rehired. That happens.
At that point, would you want to work there?
Insult to injury? Probably not.
Be fired.
But in this economy, you gotta keep what jobs you can.
Did of a crime.
Well, if she isn't guilty, then I feel sorry for her and I wish her the best. If she is guilty, I find it funny that this town loved this rooster. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I got the hiccups. The town loved this rooster so much that they're like, yo, what the frick? You killed our rooster? Get the frick out of here.
I suppose it should be worth mentioning that Mississippi is an at-will state, which means you can be fired without cause at any time. So, technically speaking, I suppose it wouldn't be wrongful termination. However, if she were able... listen, I don't quite care that much, but if she were able to prove that she was fired because that she was suspected of killing Carl and it ended up that she didn't, then she might have a case there. However, like I said, Mississippi is an at-will state, so
any job can fire someone in Mississippi, just like boom.
yeah. But also, it goes both ways. That means you can leave without giving a reason.
Oh, what if, I mean, let's say outside of Mississippi, why can't you leave without giving a reason?
I don't know.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, I feel like most states are at-will employment states. I can look up to see which ones aren't.
You want to try to like come up with the motive? Maybe she was jealous. Maybe she was like, yo, I do so much for this town as a juvenile corrections officer. And everyone loves this chicken more than me. She was jealous. You know what I mean? Maybe.
I think she was just engaging in some hooliganism.
Hooligan. I mean, she's like 35. Like,
maybe 35 and a hooligan.
Yeah.
Just because you're 35 doesn't mean you're mature.
Yeah, but like.
Okay, so all states in the United States, excluding Montana, are at will. Most do have exceptions. But the states of Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, Nebraska, Maine, New York, and Rhode Island do not allow any exceptions. I don't know what an exception would be, but
okay,
I don't know.
Maybe. Backstory here, some lore.
Okay, we're coming up with lore for this.
So maybe she is immature, and that's why she's a corrections officer. She sees herself in these delinquents that she is like correcting. You know what I mean?
Sure.
She's like, she had a troubled past. No one really knows about it. She never got caught. You know what I mean? Until now. Now she messed up. Now she gets arrested. She goes to the juvenile detention center that she
As
served.
a 36-year-old
because she's mentally not an adult. She's just 16, the same as the juvenile delinquents that she corrected.
Okay.
I think this is pretty interesting.
Is a really interesting word choice for. Well, it's essentially a baby jail.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I was just saying corrected specifically because she was a corrections officer.
Yeah.
And then I thought about
really
making.
A misnomer. They're not really correcting anything, are they?
Huh?
I said it's really a misnomer. They're not really correcting anything, are they?
I mean, maybe doesn't that depend on the correction center?
I mean, a jail's jail, Joseph.
Yeah, but like
kind of keep
some have programs. Some rehabilitation. You got to get
the American jail system isn't really about rehabilitation, and it hasn't been. Probably ever, honestly.
Ever?
Yeah.
I know, like, not all prisons are great, and I know, like, there's a lot wrong with them, but, like, I have learned this from Melissa, who has listened to a couple hours. I'll say a couple. What's more than a couple? A couple. I'll say dozens, because I think she listened to quite a number of these podcasts. But it was these podcasters interviewing inmates at like a specific prison. I don't remember what prison, but it was a specific prison. And yeah, they talked about rehabilitation. Like they went to counseling and like trying to like see where they went wrong. And it's like one particularly disturbing one was like the podcasters were interviewing a guy that I think he was just like he was just like a casual like mugger. But then one time like he was like, yo, I'm gonna mug.
A casual mugger.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess he
he just did a little armed robbery from time to time. It was fine.
Is
such
armed...
a weird way to put it.
Well, I'm starting light because it's like what got him, I think, caught was like it escalating. Where like I guess he mugged people from time to time. Or did it frequently, we'll say, never really got caught. Big dude. Eventually, though, he tried to mug a woman and she fought back. So he was like, oh, I'm going to rape her too.
Okay.
I think then, I don't know if she died because Melissa's the one that listened to the podcast. I did not, but she recounted it to me. It was very sad. But I think that was what got him caught was like him raping her. And then it's like, oh, like there's not just a mugger in these streets now. There's also a rapist. We got to catch him now. And so he got caught, went to jail for, I think, a very long time. And then the podcasters were interviewing him, I think, years after he's been in prison, but like he was talking about like I guess some of his like therapy he was receiving in prison of like they're gauging to see like, hey, do you acknowledge like I guess what you did was wrong? Can you
Mm-hmm.
maybe put yourself in that woman's shoes, and I guess if you can try to imagine how horrible that was for her. And
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a little bit. I think maybe he didn't fully grasp it, which I guess is fine, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe some prisons do offer like rehabilitation
Mm-hmm.
um based on like uh which like from what I heard from Melissa who listened to this podcast, like it was a pretty like I guess rough prison, at least in terms of inmates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the rest of it, but yeah.
Mm. Well, the whole prison industrial complex kind of de-incentivizes actively rehabilitating quote unquote criminals.
Mm.
So I'm going to disagree. I mean, hey, that guy, I don't know who he is, when he got arrested, what prison he's at, but I feel like, like I just said, Parchment here, they're living in subhumane conditions. They're just kind of keeping them in cages like animals, and yeah, they are prisoners, but they are still humans, and humans do still have rights on a very basic level. So,
well, I mean, you can disagree, but like I'm giving you like legit examples. Like,
okay.
what are yours?
The prison, I just said it.
Uh-huh.
Where is Parchment actually? It's somewhere probably in the Delta. I don't know.
In Mississippi?
Yes, but it's a notoriously very bad prison, and it's almost literally falling apart.
Uh-huh.
It's actually, let's see, Parchment. It's actually where they sent the Freedom Riders when they came here, and it was
I don't know what the Freedom Riders are.
Ooh. Not up to date on your civil rights, I see. I mean, okay, no, I did know what they were before I moved here, but there's a lot of Mississippi-specific civil rights stuff that I didn't learn until moving here. But basically, buses used to be segregated. They wanted to
okay. I know what Freedom Riders are.
Okay.
Rosa Parks.
No, that was the Montgomery bus boycott, and that was in Alabama.
Well, okay, continue. Tell me what the Freedom Riders are.
So buses in Mississippi and elsewhere were segregated. So, I can't remember where they started because they rode all throughout the country. But there was a bunch of people, integrated group, white and black, male, female. I think there were some preachers in there as well, specifically Catholic priests, I think. But basically, in an effort to like desegregate buses, they loaded up the bus and just rode around. And once they returned back to Mississippi, there's actually a pretty famous photo of like the Jackson Police Department, like waiting for the bus. They were in a Greyhound bus, waiting for the bus, and arrested all of them as soon as they got off because integrated buses. It was like illegal. So they all took them at first to, I want to say, the county jail. I don't remember what specific county jail it was, but basically they were just like packed in there like sardines. But eventually they took them to Parchman, which, according to the person I heard this from, which is a woman named Joan Trumpauer Mulholland, she did an interview that I can't say too much about because that would give away a lot about myself. But they took her to Parchman, and she said it was better, but it was still like a, 4x6 foot cell. So.
Well, when was this?
This was back in the 60s, 63. 1963. So
I'm talking, I mean, so that happened. I'm not like disagreeing with that, but it's like you're giving an example from like the 60s. I'm giving an example from like modern day.
Okay. So to answer the question of where this is, Mississippi State Penitentiary, which is called Parchman Farm, which is a prison farm. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, it's forced labor. Cool. Good to know. It's Mississippi's oldest prison, and it's located in the Mississippi Delta area. It's in Sunflower County, but it's not. It's in like some unincorporated area, but basically there have been a number of news articles about. Let's see. unconstitutional conditions at Mississippi State Prison. So this is from CNN. This is from
This
a
is
week
modern.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So a federal investigation, federal now. So into Mississippi State Penitentiary, which is Parchman Farm, found evidence that conditions at the facility violate the U.S. Constitution. The Justice Department announced Wednesday. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark says the department's Civil Rights Division found that practices at the facility, also known as Parchman, violated the 8th and 14th Amendments by failing to provide adequate mental health treatment, failing to protect people at risk of self-harm, subjecting people to prolonged isolation and solitary confinement, and failing to protect people from violence at the hands of other inmates. 12 individuals incarcerated at Parchman died by suicide in the past 3 years, and 10 others have been victims of homicide, according to the Justice Department's report. Now, I would hazard a guess to say that this is happening at probably a whole lot of prisons, prisoners killing themselves and killing each other. But for this to be investigated on by the Department of Justice, something really bad must be going on down there. So, or I guess up there geographically.
That's a week ago?
Yes. So
there's your modern example.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I don't want to fully, I don't want to say we're, having a disagreement. I'm not saying prisons aren't bad. I think, what you just said about that article, I think, I mean, I guess this is just a guess on my part, but I would say, most, if not all, of them are kind of, bad. Like that article that you just read. I just think that it's not 100% that, and there's maybe degrees of severity where it's not all 100% bad. And so,
well, I mean, there's really not anything that is all 100% bad. So,
well, I'm just saying, you're providing an example of bad. I'm providing an example of not so bad. And yeah, I think it is a mixture. I just don't. I would either say not all prisons are like that, or not all prisons are to that degree where I guess they're being investigated federally and covered by CNN. You know. Yeah.
Well, it is my personal belief that the prison system in the United States was not created to turn criminals into productive members of society. I don't think that was their intention from the get-go at all. It was to take these criminals, which were, I mean, usually just Black people, because think about it. Actually, no, not even if you think about it. This has been proven, but the police force in the United States, as we know it now, originated way back in slavery times, just as a way to catch escaped slaves. That was the whole purpose of organized police forces back in, let's say, the 1850s. So pre-Civil War. And it just kind of evolved into what we have now. So, I mean, I suppose back in those times, the jail, quote unquote, for these escaped slaves would be a plantation somewhere. But, I just don't think the criminal justice system is working to help criminals in any way. That's just what I think. So, or even the general public, because I don't know if you know this, but police officers have no duty to protect and serve us, even though that's their motto. There's actually a Supreme Court case on this that I forgot the name of, but it surrounded the case of a woman who was being, I believe, stalked by her ex-husband or an ex-partner, and she reported this to the police multiple times, and I think her ex ended up attacking her, so she filed a lawsuit against her local police department, and went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land now, found that the police had no obligation or duty to protect this woman, which is so wild to me. When I found that out, that it explained a lot, but the police system and the prison system, they're not really designed to help at all. So, yeah.
Was that true about the origin of the police system? I never heard that before.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is also something that I only learned recently.
How'd you learn
recently is the last few years.
How'd you learn it?
I believe it was a video essay on YouTube.
Huh.
It had to be probably 2021. I don't know when the video itself came out, but that's probably when I watched it.
Do you trust the video essay?
Yes, I looked it up afterwards. I did some
your
reading
own
on
research?
it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a little interesting to think about, because growing up, you're always taught, oh, the police, they're there to help you. When in reality, constitutionally, according to the Supreme Court, highest court in the land, they have no obligation to do that. So it's like, what is their purpose then if they're not here to protect and serve us?
Well, isn't that just one specific example though of like stalking? Like there's not
Yes, but
a whole
Joseph,
lot.
you have to understand when something goes to the Supreme Court, that sets a legal precedent for the entire United States. So if let's say that were to happen to me and I were to sue JPD for not protecting me in the case that I was getting stalked by someone, it wouldn't go anywhere because there's already a legal precedent set by the Supreme Court that if something were to happen to me like that in a stalking case, then the police can't be held liable for not doing anything about it.
I don't know. I
know it's hard to understand because it is kind of goes against what we were all taught growing up as children about the police, but that is the truth. And to be fair, this Supreme Court case, I believe, is from like 2014.
No, we can disagree on that. Like, and I don't know, you can say it's hard to believe, but
it was Warren versus District of Columbia. Is this from it's from 1981, not 2014. I have no idea what I was thinking about. So yeah, it's even older. Yeah, it's let's see, held that the police do not. Oh, hold on. No, this isn't the Supreme Court. This is the Court of Appeals. There is a Supreme Court case. Hold on.
It took 30 years to get to the Supreme Court. He stalked her
the 2005.
Whole time. Okay.
Supreme Court decision in 2005. What is the name of
this?
It
take 20 years?
Okay, so the man kidnapped 3 of his young daughters. Oh, this is the one. It's Castle Rock versus Gonzalez. Yeah, that's the one. And that is what set the precedent for...
But wait, did he kidnap?
Yeah, hold on. Let me look. Let's see. Boopity boo.
Because I'm like...
Find it. Okay, so I'm going to start reading. The ruling was in line, which this is talking about a different case, but this goes into the Supreme Court case. So the ruling was in line with an infamous Supreme Court decision in 2005 that exonerated police in Colorado for refusing to go after a man who kidnapped his 3 young daughters in defiance of a restraining order and then murdered them, even while their mother repeatedly begged the police tax. So it was way worse than I thought at first. Oh my God. Writing in the majority in Castle Rock versus Gonzalez, Justice Antonin Scalia, who is, I think he died and got replaced by someone somewhat recently. Maybe Brett Kavanaugh, I can't remember. Acknowledged that Colorado's own statutes required that police arrest the violator of a restraining order, but ruled that a well-established tradition of police discretion overrides the state law. The nub of the issue is that we have a country, what is often referred... have in this country what is referred to as a negative Okay, this is not talking about the case. Okay, yeah, but that's essentially what happened with that.
Wait, what happened at the end there? What was it talking about?
I think it was the author talking about something.
Also, what's the source?
What do you mean, what's the source?
Like, I don't know, what website are you on?
Oh, I'm on insidesources.com. I have no idea what kind of website this is, but you can look at Supreme Court cases probably on the Supreme Court's website, and there's also a website that lets you hear oral arguments from the cases. Probably C-SPAN, but I'm specifically talking about Oyez. That's oyez.org? Orcom? I don't know. Or basically, you can look up any Supreme Court case and see how it was ruled on. And I think depending on how old it is, see how each justice voted on it. So this is like going all the way back to the creation of the Supreme Court, seeing all the cases that they ruled on. I'm going to look this up on Wikipedia. Let's see. Castle
Castle Rock
versus Gonzalez. Supreme Court case. Court ruled 7-2, by the way, that a town and its police department cannot be sued for failing to enforce a restraining order, which had led to the murder of a woman's 3 children by her estranged husband. That's more or less it, I guess. I don't know. What else were you wanting to know about?
I don't know. I was just into the article. I was paying attention, but I was also like ever so slightly zoned out. So then when like we kind of stopped in the middle, and you're like, "Oh, this isn't about the court case anymore." I'm like, "Wait, what was it about?" You know.
I was just trying to see what the what actually happened to lead to the it going to the Supreme Court.
So now that we know it's even worse, what's your take on it?
I mean, it's still bonkers that, you know, the Supreme Court ruled that the police have no duty to do what many police forces' slogans is. But, you know, it's just, again, going to question, like, what is their purpose then? Catch criminals? Okay. I mean, who decides who are the criminals? Because if they decide, like, who is deciding what is worth, like, enforcing? You know? And that was word salad, what I just said, but yeah.
Well, I guess the criminals are determined by the crime, which I guess is the written
and the crimes
law.
are determined by the people who make them.
Well, I want to go back to just this court case specifically. I guess the Supreme Court, that's like DC, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of the 3 branches of our government. We learned this in the 5th grade.
And this was in 2004?
5.
Bro, I don't remember most from 4th grade.
I said 5th grade.
Okay.
I mean, you can't remember the 3 branches of government. There's only 3. We have...
Wait. Let me do... This is pop quiz.
Okay.
Executive. Judicial.
Yep, and that's the Supreme Court.
Administrative. No. Oof. Executive, judicial, and...
Would you like hints?
No.
Okay.
Congressional.
Close.
Constitutional.
No.
Representative.
Also close.
I give up.
It's legislative.
Legislative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do slightly remember that from like 2nd or 3rd grade.
We definitely didn't go over that in 2nd or 3rd grade.
Maybe
it was
I
5th
did.
grade. 5th grade is the first time you go over U.S. history and learn about U.S. government and
Every
stuff.
school is different.
Okay, but the curriculum is still the same for each grade level. You learn certain things at certain grades. It's different state to state, but
I remember it from elementary school.
Okay.
I think it was earlier than 5th, but executive, judicial, and legislative.
You might learn the 3 branches of government before that, but specifically in the 5th grade is when you learn like U.S. government stuff and like the founding of the United States and everything like that.
So going back to this case, I wanted to, to me, putting my like, you know, I like making stories. We made up this fake lore for why the woman killed the chicken, right?
Where are you going with this?
Well, I mean, that was more goofy.
Yeah.
But like I'm trying to see maybe the bigger picture here. To me, like at first we thought it was just stalking. Like that, I can understand that that's more of like a complicated situation because you can't.
Well, there's probably.
Wait. No, I'm just saying like it. In that situation, like it's tricky because there's not a whole lot. As far as I know, there's not a whole lot the police can do in a stalking situation.
Well, there's what they can do and there's what they did, which was nothing. But, you know, you can have protective orders.
But I'm saying like a hypothetical, like, I don't know, a hypothetical stalking situation. I'm not talking about this situation because it was more
I know,
than...
but I feel like if you have reports of a stalker, there are steps you can take to prevent that person from coming into contact with the person that's being stalked, I suppose.
But if they're...
But I was reading about this one stalking case on Wikipedia because I was on a roll. I can't remember specifically what it was, but I believe it was one where the person getting stalked ended up getting murdered, and the judge, who had eventually, I think, either sentenced the person or like granted the protection order, like the first time, said that, you know, pieces of paper can't stop bullets. So there, I suppose you're right. There is so much you could do, but to me, it seems like the police in this specific case were just outright refusing to act.
Okay, but I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so stalking at first that's what we thought it was. Not a whole lot you can do in that situation. It's tricky because it's like not exactly a crime. So in that instance, I think I don't think it's a crime.
Yes, stalking is a crime. It's something you can be charged with.
It's hard to prove, though.
Is it?
Maybe.
I mean, if you have tangible evidence of someone contacting you multiple times a day and showing up outside of your house.
No, but I'm saying like, no, I'm talking like, I don't know, like not.
Are you talking about people like hiding in the bushes, clandestinely spying on someone?
Yes.
I feel like in most cases, unless you're doing like covert surveillance on someone for whatever reason, I feel like stalkers want to actively be in a person's life, therefore they make themselves known. So they actively reach out to them multiple times. Sometimes, they may use a fake number or something like that, but they're actively trying to interact with this person. And they're not like, I don't know, a private investigator or something like that, So,
well,
because in, the role that I was on, reading about stalking cases, it feels like most of them, the person was actively trying to reach out to the person they were stalking, making themselves known to them.
Well, if you were on a Wikipedia roll, I trust you, but I'm somewhat speaking from personal experience right now.
Okay.
Like currently, presently.
Yeah.
Stalking from a distance. And then you can just assume I like just saying that you can know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not trying to be actively in life, and then just like it's kind of weird because unless you're like constantly looking, you're not going to notice that person's there.
Yeah.
But
I should also point out that most of the cases that I was looking at ended in some kind of violence. Okay. So there might be a difference there.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying like this is the kind of stalking that for us right now, it's kind of hard to prove because like one, we don't know how much it's happening, and two, like it's like almost blink and you miss it. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you're not constantly eyes open, like turning your head like a security camera, you're not gonna notice the person. Anyway, all that to say, that's the kind of stalking that's in my mind. Talking about what we knew before you looked up the article. Okay, when we thought it was just stalking, I was more like on the police's side. Now, finding out that there was a restraining order, there was murder, and kidnapping. That to me trying to weave my story more, that sounded to me more like, I guess, police corruption of just like, it sounds like, to put it lightly, it sounds like they goofed, they dropped the ball and maybe didn't want to fess up.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm surprised that like the Supreme Court would rule in their favor and like just say like, oh, I mean, they have like their discretion,
Yeah.
But
honestly, to me, it doesn't even really seem like corruption. It just seems like inaction. Like they just did not care enough to do anything about it. It's not like, corruption, I feel like to me implies that they are actively trying not to do anything. Whereas I feel like what might have actually happened is that she kept going to the police and they just weren't taking her seriously and just kind of brushing it aside. That's how I saw it. But also, one thing to realize about, Supreme Court cases is that they are judged on by people, and people are affected by what's going on around them. So,
what is it? It's like a couple of judges.
It's 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah,
they're Supreme Court justices.
Yes.
Okay.
And, these people, they have their own set of beliefs that it shouldn't, but sometimes it does get in the way of how they judge on a case. And then, of course, you have a bunch of outside factors that might factor into how a case might be judged on. So, I mean, this took place in 2005. I was alive then, but I was a child. So I can't really comment on how the world was at that time. to maybe influence what went on with this case, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, this isn't a case that was like highly publicized, like, you know, the big cases that you hear about all the time. So, you know, this one you kind of had to dig through the archives to even get to it, because like I had never heard of this case before I had heard about it somewhere. I can't remember how I like came to know about this case, but yeah. I feel like it might have been a Knowing Better video. Maybe. I don't know.
I think, I don't know. I think I'm still surprised that the Supreme Court would rule in the police's favor. But, I mean, well, I think you brought up an interesting point, which is like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we may have already said this, and I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to say, but the whole situation is terrible with this, you know, ex-husband stalking and then kidnapping and then killing his daughters. That's just awful.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
Well, what are you thinking?
A lot.
Okay. It is a really heavy thing to like realize, you know, about, I don't want to say society, but society.
No.
Is that I feel like growing up is realizing that things are not the way you were taught they were. And sometimes that's really hard to accept. But then you kind of see it happening around you and you realize that, oh, things aren't the way that I was taught growing up. So,
I mean,
it's definitely difficult.
Well, I don't want to feel like you're like talking down to me.
I'm not. I'm just trying to meet you where you're at. I don't know what you're feeling right now.
Well, you're assuming where I'm at.
Okay. Well, where are you?
Well, I think it's realizing that that's a part of the world, that's a part of society, but it's like that's not all of it. You know what I mean? It's not only that. Like,
yeah.
I don't believe like all police are like that. And I don't believe like, what is it? I mean, I guess there were two Supreme Court justices that did rule in favor of the woman. You know what I mean? Like, now, I guess sadly because of like, I
wonder who it was.
What's the word? The majority ruled in favor of the police department. But I don't know. I feel like I flip-flop between optimism and pessimism, but I think I more often than not am more of an optimist, and so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because I would venture to say that I bet like there's some police in the police department at the time that this was going on, that when they found out, like, holy frick, like these little girls, you know what I mean? These kids have been like murdered. I bet that weighs heavily on their conscience and still does.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, like, maybe it was one of those things where it's like, I'm just kind of trying to explore all the different avenues or scenarios where it's like, what is it? I want to say like, it seemed like stalking, and so they couldn't really do anything. And then when they did do something, it was too late. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe someone, you know, wanted to do something, but like, because it only seemed like stalking, it's like our hands are tied. There's not much we can do. You know what I mean? But
so I can tell you which justices voted in what way. And you're probably not going to recognize the majority of these names because I legit don't know who some of these people are.
I won't recognize any of them.
Well, Ginsburg, RBG.
Ruth Bader?
Yeah, she was one of the two dissenters, along with Stevens, who I don't know who that is.
Is Stevens a man or a woman?
A man. There's been very few female Supreme Court justices. So Rehnquist, O'Connor, Sandra Day O'Connor, which is one of the few female Supreme Court justices, Antonin Scalia, who wrote the majority opinion, Kennedy, Scouter, Clarence Thomas, who is still on the Supreme Court currently, and then Breyer.
Can we read what he wrote for the majority opinion?
Antonin Scalia.
Uh-huh.
Let me find it.
Now, have you seen 12 Angry Men?
No, I have not.
It's really good. And I feel like it deals similarly.
I feel like this is going to be long.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have to read it.
It's so long.
How long?
I'm still scrolling. Wait, hold on.
Boy.
What am I?
Might make a good read, not for the podcast, but might make a good read regardless.
Yeah, okay. This it's real long. It's really long. Okay.
How legalese is it?
Well, I'm only like scrolling through it to see how long it is, but you would need your full attention to like ingest all of this because I'm still scrolling. This can't. Okay, hold on. I think this might just be the way this website is formatted for mobile, but I don't know. This first paragraph here, Justice Scalia delivered the opinion of the court. This is from June 27th, 2005. We decide in this case whether an individual who has obtained a state law restraining order has a constitutionally protected property interest in having the police enforce the restraining order when they have probable cause that has been violated. Oh God, no. That's just the introduction. Never mind.
All that scrolling was the introduction?
No, that first paragraph is the introduction, and then it goes into the opinion, and it's so long. Joseph, when I tell you this is so long.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. I'm not saying we read it on the podcast, but I'm curious. So, okay, we decide. Then
there's probably a condensed version out there, but I don't know. There's this one YouTuber that I like who is coincidentally a 10th grade U.S. history teacher. I don't know if he still teaches, but he's called Mr. Beat, and he talks about certain Supreme Court cases. And I don't know if he talked about this one. I can look it up. I hope so, because I kind of want to watch the video on it if he has. But I'm sure there are some intelligent video essayists who have done. What's that noise?
That was pain, because these chairs don't feel good.
Well, yet again, gotta get those butt injections.
I'm gonna be the next Kim Kardashian.
But you see how long it is, right?
It's a couple paragraphs.
A couple paragraphs? Joseph, give me the phone.
A lot of them are footnotes. You don't necessarily have to read the footnotes. Well, okay, specifically 15, 16 paragraphs are footnotes. Then the rest is... It's still dense, for sure, but I don't know. Yo, send me the link.
Okay.
It's long. A little baby that wants her tablet back. Scalia. Thank you. I feel like when you say that name, it has some history. Is he a good guy or bad guy?
I legit don't know.
Okay.
All I know is that he died and then...
Yeah, I feel like I only know his name because he died.
Yes, but I can't quite remember. Well, I can certainly look it up. I can't remember in which presidency that he died.
We don't need to look up the history. I was just assuming some history when you said his name.
No.
Like, you were knowledgeable about him.
No, that's not. He died in 2016, February 13th. Ooh, this is like... Okay, hold on.
What's his ethnicity?
He's...
Italian.
I don't know. It just says he's American. Hold on. I gotta switch back to mobile. I mean, he's from New Jersey, so he probably is Italian-American. I don't know. Not that that changes anything.
Dang, stereotype much, Aaron?
What?
I'm joking.
I mean, listen, I don't know a whole lot about him. He was... Oh my God. He was nominated by Ronald Reagan. So he was in office from 86 to 2016 when he died. So...
Solid.
And this is office for life or until you retire. So.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know much about him until, other than the fact that, yes, he died, and specifically he died when Trump was president.
Scalia
and they were
is
trying
gone.
to figure out, I think maybe his seat remained vacant for some time. Maybe that was something.
I think I just know his name because of the news. I was just wondering if it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there are some cases that he...
We can move on.
Okay.
I assumed you were knowledgeable about him.
Not really, no.
I don't know.
I don't know a whole lot about the Supreme Court, to be completely honest.
Yeah. So I guess going back to this case, I think overall it's quite unfortunate, to say the least. I want to give the benefit of the doubt, but it definitely, like, I don't know. Yeah. I think I want to read, like, who knows how far I'll get. But
especially considering you have yet to finish reading the first screenplay that I wrote. Yeah. And I'm on number 3 now, so you gotta hurry up.
Yeah, who knows how far I'll get, but I'm curious to potentially read, like, what why they ruled the decision that they did.
And you can also read the dissenting opinion. I don't know who it was written by.
Do you know
Stevens.
Do you know any police officers?
So my uncle used to be, well, I mean, he's not anything now because he's deceased, but at some point my uncle was a police officer. And I think he also did, like, private bodyguarding. Like, my dad would always tell me about the time that he was Alicia Keys' bodyguard. I will never not stop hearing about it.
Your dad was or your uncle was?
Both of them.
Huh.
So, yeah.
The two of them made up one bodyguard for Alicia Keys.
Well, my uncle was a legit bodyguard. I have no idea. Probably because he knew my uncle because he was married to my dad's sister. But, yeah, that's a fun family story.
Uh-huh.
But aside from that, I don't know if anybody currently in my family is a police officer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember growing up when I was in elementary school. For some reason, the district attorney came to our school. And he's still a district attorney, by the way. He's been district attorney in my county for forever. To talk about, I can't even remember what he was talking about, honestly, but that's not really a police officer, but it's criminal justice, I guess. There was a family friend of my family's who was a judge, which, again, adjacent to criminal justice. No cops, basically.
Okay.
In the family or anything like that.
Was your uncle a cop or not?
He was a police officer, but...
Okay.
So we're not, well, I can't speak for my other family, but I personally am not very close with my extended family, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but I just know that at one point he used to be a police officer.
Huh. Was he police officer first or a bodyguard first?
I think it was a police officer first.
And then stopped and then became a bodyguard?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Had some kind of security services or something.
How did he die?
Cancer. Can't forget. I mean, I can't remember what kind.
How old?
He wasn't very old. Probably younger than my parents, so...
50s?
Not quite 50s yet.
40s?
Probably.
Wow.
Because I don't know how far apart in age my dad and my aunt are, but I would assume he's closer in age with my aunt than my dad.
Uh-huh.
My dad's, like, late 50s now, so... And this actually, he died while I was in college. I want to say it was the summer between my sophomore and junior year. No, it was my freshman and sophomore year, I believe. I honestly can't remember. Kind of wiped it out. Don't really like funerals, you know.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, it was fairly recent when that happened, all that to say. And he had a prolonged illness.
I was only asking, I guess, because... I can only think of one police officer I've known off the top of my head, but he was a very nice guy.
Are you talking about specifically in my family or just like...
Just any of you've known personally?
Oh, well, I mean, being that my family is from a small town, you kind of get to know everyone pretty well, so I guess my parents would know a few police officers well-ish.
I'm talking about you.
Well, me personally, no, but, you know, my family... I guess in general, and I guess sometimes I would come into contact with these people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sometimes. And then my high school had a resource officer, which is basically just like a school cop, who was a police officer. He worked at the local police department.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay,
so I knew him. And then there is another one who was only there for a year, but I feel like the other one was more well known. So yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Well, it was more like if you knew any, like, I don't know, like if you, when your family went to church, like if there's any that like, I mean, I guess you're just a kid, but like that you had like a friendship with, or like family friend, or just like someone that like you had a positive opinion of it, maybe if, even if you didn't know them that well, but like,
I mean, I guess for the most part, growing up, I saw police officers in kind of a neutral way. I didn't really have good or bad feelings about them. I just kind of thought, they were there, they arrest people.
But just more specifically, like I think I was just wondering if you knew one personally, not like.
I have not known a police officer on a super personal level.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I was just wondering because it's like I can only off the top of my head think of like one that I knew and was somewhat close to. Going back to relationships, the first girl I dated, she had an older sister that was, I don't know, mid-20s or something, or early to mid-20s, and she was like studying to be a nurse, and he was studying to be a police officer. And then I think they both did that. He became a police officer in my small town. Have I ever said it before? I don't know.
I don't think he ever gave her a pseudonym, but this is the high school.
No, I meant like my town that I grew up in.
I think you mentioned it once.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'll just say it and you can believe it. But girl I sort of dated high school. She had an older sister, mid to late 20s, and she was dating a guy, I think actually engaged. And he was studying to be a police officer, and I liked him a lot. I may have mentioned this when talking about that previous relationship, but like he was a really cool, really nice guy. And I guess like you may not have, I don't know how much experience you have with this, based on like, well, you said you've never been in a relationship.
No.
Okay. Well, maybe like through your sibling relationships. But like for me,
I don't know about that.
No, I know. Well, all I'm saying is like for me, I've always thought about like marrying into families. And so like if I did marry that first girl that I dated, her siblings all were like really cool. And like specifically, even though it's not one of her siblings, specifically, I was like, oh man, I really want to be like brothers-in-law like with this guy, because he was just really cool and really nice.
Well, you can always be brothers in spirit with someone.
Brother in Christ.
No, I just mean a close friendship.
I thought you meant like spiritually.
Well, I don't know. If you have like a really close bond with someone, they're like a honorary brother.
No, you can, but like, but our only connection, like we have a significant like 10-year or so age gap, or 8 to 10 years or something, and then like it's not like we hung out on our own. It's just like, oh, we're both dating 2 females in this family. You know what I mean? So that was our only connection. But he was really cool and really nice. And anyway, I don't know. All that to say, I liked him a lot, and he was a police officer. So I guess all that to say is that I did know a police officer somewhat personally, and he was a really nice guy. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just wondering if you knew any personally, which you already said no.
Yeah. I do watch, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a lot, but occasionally I dive into the police body cam footage, not like murders or anything like that, but just like, notable traffic stops where something wacky happens. And there's this one channel that I watch. I used to watch it more. I kind of stopped now just because I moved on, called Audit the Audit, where they would look at police interaction videos and go over like laws and stuff and like specific individual statutes that kind of come up in the video, which I've learned a lot from that, honestly. But it's honestly, I do believe that not all police are bad. You know, because sometimes in the videos, the cops, they get an A rating and the citizen will get an F rating. But a lot of the times, what?
This is your personal rating?
No, they like give ratings based on...
Ooh. Oh, audit the audit.
Yeah, okay. Based on what happened in the police interaction.
You know, do you generally agree with the channel's opinion?
Yeah, I would say so, just because they go so in depth into like laws and stuff.
Interesting.
And previous court cases that have precedent on, let's say, like Fourth Amendment violations or something like that. So yeah, just because they go so deep into all of that, I'm willing to side with them most of the time. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the time, especially on Audit the Audit, and this could be like, let's say, a confirmation bias, because I guess more negative police interactions are being submitted to them to review. But I will say a lot of the time on there, the police they are wilding out a lot of the time. So again, that could just be a confirmation bias on that particular channel. But I don't know. It's just, even outside of that, it's just really rare, like in the news, which is supposed to be. And I'm not talking about like mainstream media. I'm talking about mainly local news. So like stuff around here, if I read about a police interaction, it's usually not super great. I don't know.
What kind of police interactions happen around here?
I don't know. Just police. Well, actually, I don't really read about a lot of police interactions around here. Honestly, it's just like people interactions that I read about. But, you know.
Those are two different things.
That's true. And I did just say I don't read a lot of police interactions around here. So, I'm thirsty.
Didn't you a second ago?
I'm rescinding that statement.
Okay.
I mean, listen, the police, they get their bad, reputation not from nowhere. I'll just put it that way. There's reason to maybe not trust them. And honestly, I don't know. Specifically around here, because JPD does nothing. So if I'm ever in trouble, they are not the first people that I'm going to call. Because, oh goodness, okay, I was reading about this recently. Apparently, I guess whatever dispatch... Whatever the place is when you call 911, wherever that call goes, it's not staffed very well. So sometimes they'll be calling them multiple times. It'll just ring and ring and ring. And you not have anyone pick up. So like, okay, so...
That's not the police though, is it?
Yes, because I think it's not the police station, but they still interact with the police, right? Well, I mean, that's still through the city, I'll say. So I think this is mostly a city thing than a police thing, but...
Okay, that's an important distinction.
Yes, but the city, the police is funded through the city. So the city's corruption kind of trickles down on the police as well. And it's not like, covering up murders or anything nefarious like that, as far as I know. It's just inaction. And it's kind of frustrating. There is this woman who had like gotten into an accident, and she wasn't like injured or anything like that. But you have to like call 911 to get like a cop down there to deal with it. And she waited there for like an hour before a police officer actually got down there, called 911 a few times, and like nothing happened. So, So I think that's mostly just a city thing, but I'm going to get more water.
This episode is brought to you by water.
Okay.
To all you coffee addicts out there, it's delicious.
It says coffee addicts don't like water.
I don't know, man. I feel like sophomore year college, a lot of kids, they're like on Facebook, they're like, oh my god, I just drink nothing but coffee, I don't even drink water. If I start feeling dehydrated, I just get iced coffee.
Okay, no, it kind of degraded at that point. But
the original one. It's just degraded. What do you mean it degraded? Yeah, I'm sorry, Joseph. You're not that funny.
Hey, I liked the basic white girl impression.
The basic white girl impression, yeah. You don't know how I can do it so well?
How?
Because I'm not like other girls. I don't know. That didn't exactly make sense. It made more sense in my head.
Okay, we need to do the intro.
We live in a society. Dang it. I didn't want you to be aware of the intro.
Well, why? We haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I know. How long have we been recording?
hour and 18 minutes.
I didn't want you to realize until we hit like the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
And then it's like, as we're wrapping up, I'm going to be like, hey, we should do the outro or something. And then you're like, frick, we didn't do the intro. And then
I was aware that we hadn't done the intro this whole time.
The intro and the outro back to back.
Okay.
You know? Like, I feel like that would be sick.
I disagree.
Why do you want to do it halfway through?
Well, we just haven't done it yet. We were just on a roll with a good conversation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so can I do it? I'm gonna do it anyway. This is this is okay, stop. This is the 15th episode of the Not Just Arin podcast. I, as you know, am Arin, and you are?
Yeah.
We didn't really have a topic today, but we just kind of started talking anyways, so, you know.
We kind of don't have a topic every week now.
This is true. However, I personally feel that we do better when we don't have topics, because then we just roll into whatever we have, and it usually turns out great. Actually, no, I'll say it always turns out great. So, as a producer. As producer of the Not Just Arin podcast, is in my personal opinion that we are better off without topics.
Huh?
Okay. Well, Melissa had a suggestion, and this is a really...
Wait, we're switching topics entirely? What were we talking about? We were talking about... I mean, I don't know.
I felt like that had ended. Unless you wanted to talk more about it.
Not necessarily. I just don't remember where we left off. You got thirsty.
You were asking me about... Okay, you were talking about the guy who's dating the sister of the girl that you dated who was a cop. And
well, then we were talking about, like, Jackson corruption and, like, 911 calls and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson is so corrupt.
Yeah.
I don't know. No. I want to talk about this now because I got feelings.
Okay.
I don't know. I think the answer is no, but I don't know if you've been following this.
Prom sucked.
No, I'm telling you.
Wait, what?
I don't know if you've been following this closely, but the whole trash situation here.
At prom?
No, in Jackson.
I didn't have my prom in Jackson.
Why are you talking about prom?
Because you were trying to switch the topics a second ago.
Okay, I wasn't even going to talk about prom. I was going to talk about graduation, but now we're not going to talk about either of those things because we're talking about the trash.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about the trash, Arin.
Okay. Well.
Oof. You didn't
honestly. Well, okay. Honestly,
stay on brand.
Okay. They can't even see me, Joseph. They're blind.
I can, though. It's for me.
Okay, but you're also a man, so can you?
Frick. Dang it. All right. Continue.
Honestly, I feel like this started back in September or October. No, I think it started back in October.
Of what year?
Of 2021. Why are your eyes closed?
Because I'm a man. You know, this feels like... This is actually quite the unique experience doing this with my eyes closed. Because it feels like I'm actually just listening to the podcast. You know what I mean? I'm no longer a participant. Well, I mean, I am. But it's more like surreal. You know what I mean? Because it's like... It's just our voices. I mean, and like the light flickering because of my hands. But go on. Tell me about the trash that started in October.
So... The city of Jackson, Mississippi, has had a contract with Waste Management, which is, I mean, they're the green and yellow garbage trucks. I think a lot of cities work with Waste Management, especially the major ones. But at some point, I believe it was in October, that contract had come, or how do you say it? It expired. The contract expired. And so Waste Management, they presented a new contract to the mayor as normal. I don't know what was the terms of this new contract, but apparently the mayor did not like it, despite the fact that Waste Management has been managing the waste of Jackson for like the past 10 or so years. I had to burp, sorry.
Oh, man. All right, I'm done with my eyes closed a bit.
Okay, thank you, because it wasn't a good bit. Anyway.
All right, I'm starting it up again.
So the mayor of Jackson rejected the new garbage contract, and so he wanted to have, I guess, other companies present a contract to be the handlers of Jackson's garbage. But the city council, they wanted to go with waste management, and they didn't really understand why the mayor was being like, no, I don't want this contract. So most people were in favor of going with waste management, except for the mayor. He was probably the only one. No, he was the only one who wasn't in favor of renewing the contract with waste management. So it started to kind of become Mayor Lumumba versus the city council of Jackson, Mississippi. And so honestly, this went on for months and months and months. Eventually, I want to say potentially November. Oh, that's 1 month. Never mind. Potentially in November, there's this new company that comes up called Richards. No, there's a new company that comes up. And the mayor's being like, okay, I want to give the garbage contract to this company. But then, of course, the people, they do some sleuthing, and they realize that the company that the mayor wanted to give the contract to was only established in the last month, which means basically a company was materialized out of thin air to be given some money to handle the trash. Mm-hmm. And this person who established this company, his name, well, I don't know if I want to say, I mean, he's a local person, and he does have a wacky name. No, this has been in the news. I don't care. I'm going to say his name. His name is Socrates Garrett, and basically he's gotten in trouble in the past because he established a company to service Jackson's water, and I believe install new water meters, but he didn't do that. So there was a lawsuit, and he had to, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of legal stuff also involved. But basically all that to say is that this guy was a known grifter, and the mayor wanted to give the contract to this guy who had just established a company a month prior. So clearly something a little weird's going on. That, of course, never ended up going through. But of course, there's still more back and forth. There are lawsuits that have been filed. I don't know what the lawsuits are for exactly, but there have been lawsuits and they have been litigated on. Some of them are still in court, I think. And so the waste management contract was actually extended through these months that all of this wackiness was going on. But eventually the extension ran out, and that was very recently. I want to say, what was last month? March. Or maybe February. Something. I don't know. The months, they go by fast here. But eventually that extension ran out, and at some point, pretty recently, the city was faced with the fact that there was no one officially established to pick up the trash. So there's this other company that the mayor wanted to use called Richards Disposal, and he had gone over the city council, whereas before he would have needed to get their approval. These are the delegates of the city working with the mayor to approve something. He went over them and basically signed the contract without them for Richards Disposal to handle the trash instead of waste management. And since then, some people have gotten their trash picked up. Some people haven't gotten their trash picked up. Sometimes it's by Richards Disposal. In fact, the only reports I have been seeing have been that it is Richards Disposal that has been picking up trash sporadically. And of course, some people in the city just haven't been having their trash picked up at all. So yeah, that's what's going on here. It's still being litigated on. It's still in the courts. And it's honestly super ridiculous that this is even a thing. But again, this just goes back to city corruption in Jackson. Clearly, whoever was in charge of these trash companies that the mayor was trying to give the contract to, they were probably giving a little coin tadas back to the mayor. So that honestly seems to me to be the only reason that he was willing to go with them instead of the company that has been servicing the trash for literally a decade. So, yeah, that has been
before the decade.
I have no idea.
Okay.
So that is the trash saga of Jackson, Mississippi.
So I guess the problem, that was a lot.
Yeah.
The problem is mayor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we've been working with this company for a while. Get him out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get these random ones
Mm-hmm.
in. Which one of them you're saying is run by like a grifter? The other one
I'm not entirely sure.
doesn't have any. What? You're not entirely sure about the grifter?
No. The other one was being run by the grifter. Like the one that had been established in the month prior, that was the grifter. I don't know. Yes. I don't know who
Richard
is the owner of this new company.
I would assume Richard.
Some feller named Richard, yes. Perhaps.
Donald Richard.
Maybe.
Mr. Richard. And he's the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I guess you don't know any lore about him to know if he's a grifter or not, but reports of his company doing a bad job because some people aren't getting their trash picked up.
Well, I mean, I think, okay, one thing that I left out is that there was a restraining order filed, like an actual restraining order to prevent Richards from picking up people's trash. So it's kind of a legal gray area as to whether or not, I mean...
For like the whole city?
Yeah.
Who filed it? Who can file for the whole city?
Listen, I legit don't know. I'm assuming it's the city council because they would be the ones who would have a problem with it. But a restraining order was filed to prevent them from doing that. But apparently they have been doing it, restraining order notwithstanding. So, yeah, it's a really weird situation. And like just really messy.
It's kind of not making a whole lot of sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean,
there's no reason for this to be happening at all, and yet it is. It's so strange to me that when it first started, when it first went down and I first read about it, I was like, wow, this is kind of really stupid. And it is still really stupid. So, and I mean, the only explanation I can get from it is just like corruption. So, kickbacks and whatnot.
Bribery.
Potential. Well, I mean, who would be doing the bribing?
Companies, you said. The grease in his palms. They said, hey,
well, that would be like the kickback.
Tomato. Tomato, potato.
I guess. A bribe sounds more like forced to me. Like he didn't want to do it before, but then they offered some money and then he did it. So you know what? That might be the case. Who knows? Nobody knows.
So we're just assuming?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I was just trying to, distinguish between a bribe and a kickback. Anyway, yeah, it's really dumb.
So like my trash is getting picked up. What about yours?
Well, the thing is, I don't know, because the way it works in my building is that we just all take our trash to like the trash can on our floor and then they put it in the dumpster. But I feel like sometimes I have heard like the dump trucks come by and like pick up the trash because it is like super loud when they do it. So I don't know. But, there are people who have not had their trash been picked up. And of course, all these reports that I'm hearing of people not having their trash picked up are from next door and also my coworkers. So, and their like families that specifically live down here.
Interesting.
So yeah.
I don't know. The story. So why are you so like fired up about it? Because it doesn't seem.
Because it's so dumb. There's literally no reason for this to be happening. The fact that there's even a kerfuffle about who should be picking up the trash. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's like, I don't know. It just really speaks to the ineffectiveness of the city's government. So I just don't think the mayor is very good at doing his job, and I have no idea. After all that has happened, I have no idea how he got elected, to be completely honest. So I just don't know. But he is a movie star, so he's got that going for him.
What movies?
The Bruce Willis one. He was in that.
Okay, so he has a cameo.
How do we classify a cameo? He has a speaking part in it.
I mean, he's not like a major character.
No.
Like, and
he literally just plays the mayor.
Okay, so it was a joke. It's not. Okay. This man's not Ronald Reagan. He's not the Ronald Reagan of Jackson.
No.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, the story sounds a little boring to me. A little boring for like how heated you are about it.
I mean, I guess it is inherently kind of boring, like, oh, this town can't agree on who to do their trash, but, like, how is this even an issue at all, is my question. There are other very important things to focus on, like the fact that the sewer system of Jackson is rotted, gutted, just bad. The fact that there's been lead in the water for, like, several years, and I don't even know if they're doing anything about it. The fact that, the water processing plant is constantly having problems, so the water can't even be properly cleaned. I mean, most of my issues are down to, like, the water, but, you know, after the ice storm, it took a really long time for certain people in South Jackson to even get water back into their houses. And I mean, even now, still, people in that area have basically mud water coming out of their faucet, so they can't even drink that water or use it. They've had to rely on bottled and, like, jugs of water for God knows how long, right?
That's still going on?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Since the ice storm?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, Joseph. South Jackson is, like, a really poor area of Jackson, so yeah, but it's just the fact that there's so many other actually important things going on that should be discussed, and we're talking about the trash.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess, the trash is important. People don't get their trash picked up.
Yeah, but, like, why is the mayor choosing to focus his energy on this? Like, why can't you just, not coalesce. What is the word? It starts with an A. Ooh, I forgot the word.
Acquiesce?
Acquiesce.
Really?
Yes. Why can't he just acquiesce to the city council and just keep going with a company that's been servicing our trash for over a decade and nobody has any problems with? Like, why can't you just do this and focus on the things that actually matter instead of just trying to get a little extra money in your pocket if that is what's going on? So, I don't know. It does make me a little upset as a citizen of Jackson.
So you're upset because it seems like a waste of time.
And corruption.
And, I mean, like, is there any way to prove that, though?
What, corruption?
Yeah, it's just
there are ways to prove it, but I can't be the one that proves it.
Well, it's just...
It just seems a lot like corruption.
It's just speculation on your part.
When there's smoke, there's a fire, Joseph.
Okay, but it's just speculation on your part.
I mean, it's not just me.
Okay.
A lot of other people think this way, too.
Okay.
That I've talked to. And, stuff that I've read. So...
Okay.
It's not isolated.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Then the roads around here suck. I mean, they are very, very slowly trying to fix them, but Jackson notoriously has really bad roads. Yeah. So, I mean, there's just a lot going on. The fact that rent, for some reason, keeps going up is wild to me, especially here. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a Jackson thing. I think that's just an everywhere thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not that bad in Jackson, from something that I read on the Clarion Ledger that essentially said, could be worse. But, rent still going up, wages still not going up. That's a nationwide thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like, it affects me right now in this moment because I'm having to move out of my apartment because the rent is going up and my wages have stayed the same since last year, which, I mean, listen, it has been a year and the place that I'm currently living in is technically too expensive, but I feel like for what I'm getting, them trying to charge like $900, not worth it. Not worth it at all. For that shoebox, I don't think so. With no circulation, no ma'am. No. So, I don't know. That, just the whole renting thing has got me a little upset because I am trying to find a place to rent, and a lot of the places around here, unless I want to live in like a flop house, I gotta pay like an arm and a leg. So, yeah.
I don't know a lot about like economics, but like I have been hearing a lot about inflation, prices going up, but wages staying the same. How does that end? How does it, like, what's the solution?
I mean, I can't tell you. I'm not an economist.
Wages go up?
I mean, I guess so, but I feel like also if you raise the wages, then everything else is going to get raised to
match.
Yeah.
But everything is getting raised regardless.
This is true. But also, where are you going to conjure up this money to, like, raise those wages? Yeah. So I don't know. Economics, not my strong suit.
Yeah. We should talk to someone. Our first guest. Someone who can teach us
Economics?
Why? Yeah.
Do you know someone?
No. I mean, I know a guy.
you have an economist contact.
Yeah. No, I mean, I mean.
Wait, are you serious?
No,
Oh.
but I mean, I have like a friend in his like 30s that I could be like, hey, you're probably knowledgeable about this. Mm-hmm. Tell me, what's the solution?
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's also just like a weird housing crisis also going on at the same time where homes are so expensive, and for what? Why? I mean, I wouldn't really consider Jackson to be like a high, what do you call it? A
value?
Demand. Yeah. A high demand area.
What do you mean high demand?
Like, people aren't itching to move here, It's not Austin. Austin, I guess, would be an example of a metropolitan area that's, like, exploding in popularity.
So people aren't itching to move here, but, like, I mean, there are people itching to, like, I don't know, find a place. Here. Well, find a place here.
Well, I guess
it's hard to find a place because it's like as soon as one opens up, it's like shoom, it's gone. Like,
this is a college town though, so that's one thing to keep in mind. We also have the hospital that employs a lot of people, and I guess also students. So yeah, I don't even know what's going on with that, but I feel like in this specific neighborhood, a lot of these houses around here aren't owned by people; they're owned by companies so that they can rent them out to people, and I feel like that's presenting a problem because when you actually get to the point where you do want to buy a house comes up for sale and it gets snatched up immediately by a company that can rent it out to somebody. And eventually home ownership is just like not really feasible anymore unless you live in a place where people don't exactly, I guess, want to live. Like my hometown. You can buy a house for cheap in my hometown. So there's not a whole lot of demand for like rental properties because people aren't moving there. They're moving out of my hometown. So it's pretty easy to find a place. It's not going to be nice. You're going to have to do some repairs to it, but you can certainly find one. And even the ones that don't need a whole lot of repairs, I mean, they're still under $100,000.
I wonder if any recent sci-fi has kind of tackled this a little bit.
The housing crisis?
Yeah.
Wasn't downsizing supposed to be somewhat about this?
Maybe.
Where they like turn tiny to live in tiny homes or something?
I wouldn't know because I heard that movie was really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was trying to do something, but then it like went off the rails or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
His wife cheated on him. He got cucked or something.
Really?
I think so. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's the only one that I can think of right offhand.
Well,
that's recent.
I'm speaking because like I like sci-fi a lot, and I find it fascinating.
Ready Player One. I mean, they all live in like mobile homes stacked on top of each other, and I suppose that somewhat relates to like the housing crisis.
I feel like it's more like overpopulation, but I guess it's somewhat related. It's a good example. As I was saying, I like sci-fi a lot, and something that I always like really love and admire about sci-fi is it's kind of like, I think the word is prescience. Let's see. Prescient. Maybe prescient. Prescient. Might be saying that wrong. Here, let's.
Pretty sure it is prescient or prescient.
Prescient. Anyway.
Yeah, it's prescient.
However you say the word. How like I feel like the best sci-fi can really like predict the way like the world is going, and it's not all like correct, but it really kind of like I feel like it really can reflect like in the past kind of what those future fears are, and then when you look back at like older sci-fi and you kind of like see like what came true, it's kind of shocking and a little scary. And so like the only reason I ask is because like I'm noticing in a lot of the sci-fi that I'm consuming, like global warming, it's not necessarily like the main focus, but it's definitely like there. Like for example, the Hugh Jackman movie Reminiscence, that's like, it wasn't a good movie, but a lot of the places like very like flooded and stuff, and so I'm like, oh, that like ocean's rising, like everything's a little wet, it's a little like Venice. everywhere is just Venice, but not as nice. And then same with the game that I played a little bit, Horizon Forbidden West, that deals with a little bit of like environmental crises and global warming and stuff like that. And so I just think it's interesting. It just makes me wonder if there's any sci-fi that is kind of dealing with that.
There probably is. I just don't know a lot about it. I don't watch or read a lot of sci-fi, so my knowledge is limited.
I think I've said this to you countless times before, but like I really admire like Ready Player One, because I feel like that was a pretty like prescient book where it's like people really like to bash on it, but it's like with all this talk of like the metaverse and all this stuff right now, it's like I feel like that book like just increasingly is ahead of its time, or was ahead of its time, especially in 2011.
That's when that came out?
2011.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. I just think like good sci-fi can help make like aware of the world's current and or like near future problems, and can help society kind of think about them before maybe they're a little too big to handle, and I don't know, help us like work on a solution, which I guess that's very idealist maybe talking about it, but like I don't know, I'm just saying all that. I'm just saying because it's like the price to live and exist quite expensive, and the money you get for working not necessarily enough. And it's I guess ironically, well, not ironically, this came up in my like PlayStation podcast where they were talking about it, because I think someone in a previous episode was talking called, sacred symbols. Sacred symbol. Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, if you will, by Last Stand Media. Someone said a quote about something about like, I don't know, this economy is like good for, or it's, I don't know, I'm butchering it, something about the economy and workers. And then someone wrote in asking about that for them to elaborate, and then basically they did kind of talking about like, like prices going up, wages staying the same, and like, what is it? Just, I guess they were kind of describing it as like a bubble that will eventually burst, of just like, something's got to give at some point, because it's like everything's going up, but if no one can afford it, like then no one can pay any of these prices.
And there has been a sort of kind of workers' revolution, kind of spurred by the Pond to Replay. The pandemic. Where workers are seeing that it is possible for them to work from home and get the same amount of work done for the same amount of money. And therefore, they're demanding to do that instead of go back to the office. I don't really know how I stand on that, but not only that, but just the de-domestication of some of these people out here. Just for some reason, my brain is falling apart. The pandemic is causing a lot of people to just act out like a lot, and some people are realizing that for $7.25, it isn't really worth getting harassed at a Wendy's about wearing a mask. And I don't know if you saw this, but for a time there were a lot of people who were just mass walking out of their jobs, specifically at like, fast food places and stuff like that. And all of that kind of reminded me of the Peasants' Revolt, either during or after the Black Plague. So this was like, I want to say the 1500s, during Shakespeare's time. A lot of the peasants in like the English countryside decided to revolt because they realized that they were the ones working to create all the food for the people who lived in the cities, but they weren't getting paid enough to like do anything. So basically they realized that since the entire kingdom relies on them, they can really demand whatever they want in exchange for them to continue to work. And that's kind of what they got. So that was like massive labor reform in that time. And I feel like that's kind of going on now as well, just kind of in a different way. But it's also not having the same outcome of better wages. It's just we're at the stage where we realize it, but we haven't done anything about it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we might be getting to that point. However, now that things are starting to ease up, I feel like there's a lot less unrest for people to realize this thing, and now they're just kind of settling back into the status quo. But I feel like that's where we were headed. We were headed for a Peasants' Revolt 2.0 for a while there, where we were realizing, you know, the workers hold all of the power in a society, not the people at the top. We are the ones doing the work. So if we were to stop, we kind of hold all the leverage there, and we can, in theory, demand better wages in exchange for returning to work. So, and of course, I do see a bunch of articles being, or just like talking about this whole, you know, new work culture we got going with the working from home thing. I saw something, I can't remember if it was the Wall Street Journal or like the LA Times, or it wasn't the New York Post. It might have been the Wall Street Journal. Anyways, they're talking about how now the workday has kind of changed now that a lot of people work from home. So instead of waking up at an obscene time to like commute maybe an hour to your workplace, which is bonkers to me. I mean, my commute total is like an hour because it takes me about 30 minutes to get to work, and no, it takes me like 25 minutes to get to work and maybe 30 minutes to get back home.
I mean, is the commute the total? I thought it's just there.
I thought so too, but anyway,
it's a 30-minute commute there in the morning, and it's a 30-minute commute there back in the night.
Yeah, but we'll say someone who maybe lives like, I don't know, California or something like that, has to drive like an hour to get to work because, you know, they can't afford to live in the place where their workspace is. That's kind of gone out of the door now with remote work, because now you can just kind of live anywhere and work at a place like Airbnb. They recently went all remote for their like entire company. And so one thing that I continue to see is that some like rural places, for some reason, Wyoming constantly comes up, but houses in like Wyoming, Nevada, the mountains, I don't know, you know, they're getting snatched up real quick because, you know, there are nice, pretty scenic places to live for people who are tired of living in the city, I guess. But it's kind of pricing out the people who do live there. So that's kind of becoming an issue. But again, I think the main thing I was working at was the work day for people who work from home, I guess, has changed. So this article that I read this morning profiled a few people who did work from home and kind of laid out their schedule. So, you know, they wake up at like 6, and instead of having to race to get ready to travel an hour to get to their workplace, they can just kind of relax until, let's say, 7 or 8 when they actually start working and like log in. And then that lasts until about noon. Sometimes you have a lot of meetings and stuff in the morning, depending on what you do for work. We'll say like typical like office-y jobs, you'll have like meetings and stuff in the morning, and then in the midday you kind of have time to do whatever. But I think a lot of the people that they profiled had kids, because that was worked into the work days. So like in the afternoon you gotta wrangle your kids home now, and I think it was meant to say that these people have more freedom, but no, it didn't seem that way to me, because it seemed to me that they were working in the morning and then they were having a break in the middle of the day for like a few hours up until like 5. But then they still continued to work up until like 10 p.m., which is bonkers to me. Like after 5, I'm done. I don't check my emails. I don't respond to anything unless it looks important. I'm like, between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8:59 a.m., I am unreachable. You will not be hearing from me. So, you know, forgot today is Friday. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Because we usually record this on Thursday. And I'm like, oh, I gotta. But yeah, don't gotta do that. Anyways.
Well, I feel like we went on like not exact, it's a slight tangent because we were talking about like workers' revolution and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly know what it was like to be a peasant in whenever the peasant revolution happened.
Basically, you were farming for very little.
Well, see, the thing is like, you know, I feel like in theory, quitting my job and being like, hey, company that I work for, give me $15 an hour. That's great. Like,
well, you don't quit. You just stop working. It's kind of like a strike, I guess.
I mean, I'm not clocking in. I'm not getting hours. Or do I? I secretly clock in. I get my hours, but I do nothing.
I don't know. I've never been on strike before.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess technically speaking, you haven't quit your job when you go on strike.
Okay.
You're just trying to negotiate for a better deal. Because teachers were going on strike a lot, but they were still teaching at places. They just weren't showing up to work.
Well, I just feel like it's like if I do that, I'll get fired. I won't be able to then
that
like
might depend, because you definitely can't get fired for like striking.
I think
it depends though.
Really?
Yes, it really, really depends. I know. Okay, so all the teachers' strikes and stuff. I remember reading about them and how the teachers can't really get fired for striking because that's retaliation.
But that's teachers. Is this the same?
Well, that was kind of the only thing I had read about. I haven't read about a whole lot of other strikes except for like historical ones where people got murked on site. So I don't know.
Okay.
What was the question?
It wasn't. You interjected saying you can't be fired from a strike.
You can't be fired for striking.
Okay. I feel like a one-man strike you definitely could.
I mean, a strike's a strike, you know?
I don't know, man. Like,
the company can hire people to replace you, but being a scab, as it's called, is considered unethical. So...
what's a scab? Like firing for striking?
No, a scab is someone who gets hired to replace the people who are striking. And basically they're crossing the picket line, as it were. And that's considered to be not great.
But like a one-man strike wouldn't be effective. Like, I'm not going to change the...
Yeah, it would take multiple people striking to like... because otherwise people are just going to continue to work and it's not really going to have a lot of effect.
Like my boss, like she's a nice lady. I don't have an issue with her. But like, if I'm like, I'm going on strike, I want $15 an hour. Which like already... which
there are things you can do before then. Okay. Before you get to a strike.
Well, see, the problem is like the company that I work for, I'm going to say I'm going to say like, given the current wage, which is only 10 an hour, well, 9 actually, kind of sucks. And they only just raised it. Like, literally, like when, for the first couple months that I was working there, it was $7.25. And I am very... I guess I was happy that it went up to 9/10. But even now, like, I am kind of feeling like, man, that's still not like enough. You know what I mean? So it's like the company that I'm working for is quite stingy with their money. And so I'm like, well, dang, like, what do I do about this? You know? I don't know. Anyway, if I were to like demanding more money sounds nice, but it's like, if I'm not getting paid, can't pay rent, can't eat food, can't exist, I die. So what do? I feel helpless in my scenario.
Yeah, well, that's where organizing comes in. All right. Because once you get enough people on your cause, then maybe you can get something worked out faster. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man.
It's all very complicated.
Is minimum wage being increased still like controversial? I'm not on social media, but when I was, which was like 4 years ago, it was. I feel like a lot of hot takes were like these McDonald's... oh, frick. I'm choking on my phlegm. These McDonald's workers, they're lazy. They don't want $7.25 an hour. They want $15 an hour. This is ridiculous. Like, they don't deserve that. And I guess when I was on social media, didn't exactly have an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was before I had a job, so I'll take that back. I'll say I think I did have an opinion. I think I was like, yeah, why do they want it to go up?
Mm-hmm.
But didn't have a job, didn't know really anything about like the working world.
Mm-hmm.
Now have a job,
Paying
am
rent and
independent,
bills.
and I'm like, oh shoot, this stuff's expensive. And it's
Yeah.
like people don't just want it to go up because they're like, I deserve more. They're like, I need more
Yeah.
to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I guess 4 years ago, maybe still today, if it was controversial, I feel like the people that do think it's controversial more than likely are quite well off.
Yeah.
And are just like in their own way, which in their own way are just the same as me, who like doesn't have a job. Like they just don't really know like how hard it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I am more on the side of like, it needs to go up because it's like you said earlier, it's like prices are going up for everything, but the wages are staying the same. Like I don't know.
Yeah. So as for whether or not it's still seen as controversial, I mean, the minimum wage going up hasn't really been discussed a whole lot. What is being discussed a whole lot, however, is student loan cancellation, and that is controversial. Probably the exact same people who didn't want minimum wage to go up don't want student loan debt to be yeeted from existence. Some of the opinions that I've heard is like, well, you shouldn't be going to college to get useless degrees and get into student loan debt, which, I mean, imagine yourself when you applied to college and were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about what college had to offer. You probably didn't know the financial ramifications of any of that. I mean,
well, I definitely did not, but I was also tricked into my student loans. I did not know I was taking out any student loans.
Oh, we'll see. Exactly. Students aren't being educated well enough about student loans in order to make informed decisions about them too. That's a factor that plays into it as well.
I mean, I don't know. We can edit this out, but I was, maybe we don't have to. I was tricked by a family member.
Oh.
I thought we talked about this. Did we?
I don't remember.
Basically, I was just told, hey, these are just some like applications for next year, just some paperwork you got to fill out or sign to continue going to college. And it's like, oh, okay. Never told it was a loan. Never told like I'm gonna owe money. You know what I mean? Yeah. Money I don't have. So basically, I now have a couple. I'm pretty sure we talked about this. I have a couple like thousands of dollars in student loan debt. Yeah. That I did not know I had.
I don't remember talking about this
until I graduated. Because I was never told I was taking out loans, so I was tricked into that.
Wow. That's legitimately awful.
Yeah, I kind of like, I mean, I don't think I can afford an attorney, but like, I feel like I want to sue the person. Yeah. If possible. Because it's like, I don't want to have to, I mean, like, I went to school, I got my degree, but like,
now, were they federal or private loans? You might not know that.
I don't know. My mom could tell me.
Okay. Well, the ones that would be canceled by Mr. O'Biden would be federal loans, because those are kind of only the ones that he has power to cancel. Because he's been doing these
delays.
Yeah, like I just got an email yesterday being like, "Hey, your loans are gonna be canceled. Not canceled, girl, I wish, but your loans are gonna be
but you're not paying
on pause." Well, yeah, but the expectation is after the date, which is like August 31st, I think, you would have to pay them. But now we're wondering.
You're not paying them.
Oh, yeah, I'm not paying them. My parents also kind of said what your parents did, but they did not lie to me. They have been paying my loans. My mom has been paying for mine and my brother's, and my dad has also been paying for one of my loans.
So why does it matter to you?
That student loan debt get canceled?
Yeah.
So then they won't have to pay.
That's fair.
My dad actually still has student loans that he's paying off himself. And I don't know about my mom. Now, my dad never got a master's degree, but my mom did. And I would imagine, that would cost a lot. But as far as I know, my mom, I think she has told me she has some student loan debt, and my parents are in their 50s. So, it would matter because, I mean, debts like that, I think I graduated college with $60,000 roughly of student loan debt. So like federal and private loans, I like added it up, and that's how much I had. And eventually, it is the expectation of me, if these federal loans don't get canceled, which I think I have maybe like 12,000 of that is federal loans, then at some point I would be the one paying those loans off, because at some point my parents would either die or would no longer be able to do it, or I would be at a place financially where I could pay my own loans off. So it was always the expectation that my parents were going to pay them off, but considering how much there is, at some point it would be transferred to me. So even if those $12,000 could just get canceled, that would still be a lot of help for me and my family, because all that debt is in my name, even though they are paying for it. So, and I believe student loan debt is one of the ones that you can't like get resolved if you file for like bankruptcy.
Now, I don't entirely know like how I'm not on social media, so I don't entirely know how student loan debt is being discussed on social media. But
I think basically
wait. I was getting somewhere. So I guess I would say that like based on my knowledge in a different area, is that I bet some of the people that are like that they don't want it to be canceled are people that like just finished paying theirs off.
Yeah, it's those like, people too.
Which I don't entirely blame them for that. I just maybe wish they had more like sympathy or empathy of like, oh man, that really sucks that like I'm missing this if it does happen. But they could also be like, good for you. You know what I mean?
And like I feel like more people should be like that, because you should know the struggle of having to pay off loans, and like you said, be able to empathize with generations of people who probably can't pay them off.
Because I think my experience in another area is I guess it's kind of only based on two people, but I like two conversations I've had with people. I would guess, I would venture to say that it's not just those two people. I would bet that it's like a lot of people have this like sentiment because so it deals with like immigration. I feel like two of the people that I've heard most like adamantly most adamantly talk about like I guess illegal immigration in like a negative light are usually ones that like are legal immigrants, you know what I mean? Where they're like the reason they're kind of against like immigration getting easier is because they went through like the decades long process and they're like yo, that was freaking hard. I don't want it to all of a sudden get easier for like just anyone to come in through. I went through the right processes and everything. And like, I guess one video I watched taught me a bit of like how that process is very difficult and very, I guess, kind of BS. And so I find it surprising that I just found it surprising when like two people I talked to that were like legal immigrants, how strongly they felt about like immigration. Because I feel like it's kind of the stereotype of like, I guess, racist white people that are the ones that are like against it. And that is probably true for like a big percentage, but I think there is like a percentage that's probably not as much acknowledged, which is like the legal immigrants that like just got through the process. Anyway.
Well, I think mostly the negative sentiment online that I've seen is exactly what you said. Like, I spent 40 years paying off my student loans. Why do these not ungrateful, but, why do these kids get to have their student loans canceled for free when I have to work my butt off? Yeah. And then another thing that I see is that too many people are going into worthless or useless, I'm using air quotes here, degrees, and then they're getting jobs where they only make not a lot of money. They only make minimum wage or something like that. And then they can't pay off the student loans. So like, we need to stop sending these kids into worthless degrees, which I personally have a problem with because, you know, we both come from a degree that some people might consider to be useless or worthless. The arts gets ripped on a lot when it comes to talking about the worth of a degree, you know, whether or not it's worth it financially to go into a degree program like that. So personally, I resent that take, just based off of, you know, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do with my life. I think it was worth the $60,000 of debt. I feel fulfilled as a person. And you know what? If I had to go back and choose another degree plan, I would do it all over again, honestly. But anyways, you know, it's also, some people kind of present it as like a catch-22 situation. Not people who are against it, but people who are just kind of observing what people are saying about it. So basically they're saying, you know, if you go to school for like a boo-boo degree and you get a bunch of student loan debt, then it's your fault. But if you don't go to college and you can only make minimum wage because a lot of jobs require you to have a advanced degree, then it's also your fault. So it's like you kind of don't have a choice there. If you want you know, to make money, then you kind of have to, or if you want to get into any kind of, not even really specialized, but any kind of more than like a basic job, then you have to have a degree, which is not necessarily true for all fields of work, but for a lot of them it definitely is. So I mean, teachers are like the most essential job in the United States, and a lot of teachers still have a lot of student loan debt, and they don't get paid anything. They get paid dust. These teachers, they get paid dust. In Mississippi, they only recently got a pay raise, and that was only about like $5,000 a year. So, which is good for them. Finally, about time. But I don't know. I genuinely don't think being a teacher is worth it these days. I mean, I was never considering becoming a teacher, but just seeing what they have to go through, it's just, you really gotta want to do that to do that. Like, teachers, all those teachers out there who are still sticking with it, you are commendable. But yeah,
it's late.
It is. It's really late. See, we should have started earlier.
We had Wingstop.
Okay, it didn't take us that long to eat. You decided to watch an entire episode of Moon Knight.
Yeah, it's because I'm losing Wi-Fi tomorrow.
Okay, you can go places where there is Wi-Fi.
Where?
The library.
I'm just gonna go. Me and my girlfriend are gonna go like snuggle in the library and watch Moon Knight.
I mean, maybe. The library offers a wide variety of services. Having fun isn't hard when you have a library card. And honestly, you probably don't even need a library card. So, and if you live here, I mean, a library card is like free. You don't even have to pay for it. You just gotta fill some stuff out. Boom, library card, access to a lot of stuff. I am very pro-library, if you couldn't tell. Yeah.
I asked you before the podcast even started. You said you don't even have a library card Jackson.
Okay, I don't have it for here, but because I don't...
That's why you're so miserable here. You're not having any fun.
I need to go to the library more often.
First delete Fall Guys. You don't have a library card.
Well, I mean...
No wonder you're so cranky.
What can I say? I'm just not having fun. But you know, most libraries, when you check out a book, it's 2 weeks. It takes me way longer than 2 weeks to read a book. Yeah. So that's why I don't visit the library and I buy all of my books. So brand new.
What kind of fun do you have at the library?
Reading. You can take classes.
You just go there and read.
Yeah, you can go to the library and read.
But you do that.
Oh, I've never done that.
So that what?
What? Okay. You've never seen
this has
Arthur?
Been the not just.
Hold on, you never seen Arthur?
The show?
Yes, I'm referencing. There's a. I think it's like a song. Yeah. About the library, about public libraries. I thought
this was genuinely your opinion.
Well, I mean, it is my opinion, but, you know, it's from Arthur.
Back up your opinion with action. Like...
What? I don't know what you want me to do. I'm an adult. I can buy books now. I have internet at my apartment. When I was way younger, so, like, I want to say pre-K kindergarten, they would have a puppet show at the library, and we went for school once. Or actually, like, a couple of times. Okay, it was so dope. Oh my God.
This is kindergarten Arin saying.
Yes. It was fun.
Okay.
We got library cards. We were able to check out books. It was great.
You know, you can't spell fun without library card.
Anyway,
this has been the...
Do you want to do the outro?
No.
Okay. This has been the 15th episode of the Not Just Arin podcast. You said... Anyway, we are available on all podcast platforms. That is Spotify, Google, Apple, and Anchor, and YouTube as the Not Just Arin podcast. You can... I'm tired, okay?
Yeah, I know. You look sleepy. You're like...
I am.
Yeah.
Nodding off over here.
Yeah. You're going to fall asleep on the drive home.
God, I would hope not.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Not Just Arin Pod, even though we don't really use it all that much. That is my fault. Whoops. To discuss all things Not Just Arin, you can use the hashtag NJAPod, and I will be checking it. Only on Twitter, though.
Used it?
I haven't checked it recently, so I can't say.
Recently?
But maybe.
Uh-huh. Will you tell me whenever we get like a comment, or do I need to check the videos?
I will tell you.
Okay.
But we just don't get them.
Aluj O'Neill.
Yeah.
Fake fan.
Well, I mean,
thought he was a real one.
Maybe he just doesn't have anything to say.
Maybe he got shy. He got
because we kept shouting him out.
Yeah, I know. And then he's like, "Oh, frig, this is too much pressure."
Yeah.
I honestly might do that. One time, like, there's like a very small YouTuber I follow that, like,
not me.
He goes, he live streams from time to time, but like his live streams only have
Is it David?
No.
Oh.
His live streams only have like 5 viewers usually, and then like one time I joined one and it was just me, and he was like, "Yo, there's only freaking one person watching me," like, and it's like, I'm not doing this, and they ended it, but like I left because I was like, this is too much pressure. I can't join the chat, like.
Wow.
Anyway, all that to say, I can relate if Aluj O'Neill is feeling shy.
Okay, well, yeah, that's it. Who are we sponsored by?
Water.
Is it still water?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Thank you to Water for financially supporting the podcast. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. And that's it. I am so tired. What time is it?
10:30.
Oh, you're lying. Oh, I gotta go. Bye.